So tell me about this whole taking your business from income generating to wealth building, and why, and just sort of why it's important from your point of view.
So if we think about the wealth building vehicles, we have four wealth building vehicles. Actually, we have a lot of wealth building vehicles. Even if you go back to something like Rich Dad Poor Dad, what that everybody, most entrepreneurs have read, you see that he has the four quadrants, and everybody always kind of thinks of, property and investments. And they kind of, forget the business part, because they're not really thinking of the business as it can actually help them build wealth. So I'm just waking that up in them, that you've got a business. You can start it with $0, which is not the same about property and stock market. You can use your knowledge where you are now to do it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Freedom Solutions Show. I'm Eric Asbeck, and we have someone that you're going to want to hear from today. We have Anwin. I hope I said that correctly. And she is a business wealth strategist. And today we're going to talk about taking your business from income generating to wealth building. And so, well, she's going to explain all about that, but I bet you're interested already. So hi, Anwin, welcome.
Hello, hi there, Eric. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. This is a topic of interest. So,
Awesome.
well, let's just jump in. So tell me about this whole taking your business from income generating to wealth building, and why, and just sort of why it's important from your point of view.
So if we think about the wealth building vehicles, we have four wealth building vehicles. Actually, we have a lot of wealth building vehicles. Even if you go back to something like Rich Dad Poor Dad, what that everybody, most entrepreneurs have read, you see that he has the four quadrants, and everybody always kind of thinks of, property and investments. And they kind of, forget the business part, because they're not really thinking of the business as it can actually help them build wealth. So I'm just waking that up in them, that you've got a business. You can start it with $0, which is not the same about property and stock market. You can use your knowledge where you are now to do it, and it grows with you. You have more control over it, compared to you really don't have much control over the property market, because we go from bubble to bubble.
Yes.
And definitely you have no control over the stock market, because there's too much happening in the world. Instead, this is a space where you can actually control how much money you make to a certain extent and so forth. So it's kind of waking up that side of business owners, that you actually are sitting on a gold mine. Start thinking of it as an investment. And when you start thinking of it as an investment, you start thinking of it differently. The way you look at your portfolio, you do not use the same lens when you're looking at your business. And I want you to start looking at that now, because your business is there to pay more than just your bills. It does more than just pay your bills.
Agreed.
And COVID has really brought that to light. I was saying it before COVID, but now COVID has really allowed me to actually use that as an example of a lot of businesses. The day lockdowns were announced, were already worried that they will go bust. And a lot of businesses went bust. Instead, the businesses that were wealth building, they were not thinking about today. They were thinking about 12 months down the line. What am I going to do? Because I'm going to be in this little position if things don't change. They were able to run scenarios to say, okay, if the government does X, then I could do Y. If the government doesn't do X, then I could do Y. So that is what wealth building business allows you to do. It gives you that runway almost to be able to do different things, to be able to weather different conditions, so that you're not at the whim of the weather, the government, and people.
Yes, I so agree with you. And I actually use that same four quadrants, Rich Dad Poor Dad framework in a slightly different context, but along the same lines. But you're focusing in on an area that I leave to the experts like you. So this is a perfect fit for how things go. So let me ask you this, maybe, what are some of the common mistakes that people make, and, what should they do instead?
Common mistakes. So if I say my word that I don't like, it's when. So when I work with a lot, and I'm using it, working with a lot of business owners, there's always the when. So when I get 3 more clients,
Sort of
when
like
I
that
am
future
hitting,
speak, like if I only,
yes,
once I get to some point, then finally all my dreams can come
yes,
true. But it's like not here,
exactly.
it's like somewhere, eventual
And they always,
maybe.
exactly, and they always kick the bucket further and further because they have no control of when that when is going to be. So when it comes to money management, that is usually what happens. And everything is kind of taken over by sales and marketing, not realizing that, you know, in the sales and marketing speak, they say you get more out of your current clients than chasing more clients, new clients, or the proverbial quote where 2 birds in the hand is better than 2 in the bush.
One in hand
Or
better than 2 in the bush. Yep.
yes, that is it. It's the same thing with money management. You can actually do a lot more with the money that is already in your business, that is already coming in your business, than trying to chase more money to come in your business. So one of the issues that I'm seeing with business owner is this always forward thinking, almost that they're going to deal with certain things when they get to a certain point, not realizing that the fact that you're in business, the fact that you're transacting with money, you have to start doing that now. And you can actually get a lot more out of your money by doing it now rather than later.
Yes.
I kind of always say, if let's say you have a 10% error, 10% of $5, it's easier to bear than 10% of 5 million. So start now, test errors, everything, do it now where you're at $5. Then when you're at 5 million and you're doing your testing and errors and so on and so forth and trials. So start exercising that muscle within your business so that when you're at the point of, 5-10 million turnover and you're bringing in individuals to help you in those specific areas, it just becomes a matter of fact. You're not
So like
trialing
each of the
and
kind
erroring
of
at that point.
parts of your business that all fit, all the different parts that fit together to make a whole business. Like within each of them, if you start early with like, how are you going to make sure that you're saying, like on track, off track, managing how to have that piece work effectively. If you start thinking about that early rather than you kind of are letting it cobble together, and then it starts, you're in this huge scale, and now you're like, oh, I wish I had done that. Start now. Is that did I get it right, or did I miss the point?
Yes. No, you absolutely got it right. Because although we're all in business and they say business is not personal, business is very personal. And even if I use like the corporate example, when a new CEO comes in, the energy of the organization change. When a new manager or a new director joins a department, the energy change, because that department takes up the energy of the new person that's joined.
Right.
So even in the corporate space, it is personal. With your business as well, it is personal. So although there might be, you need to do X, Y, and Z, the way you do it, what works for you, you will find that out.
Yes.
So that is why when you start early, you're able to do that and find out what works for you in your business for your end goal and your vision.
Yes.
And doing that at 5 million is costly. You start doing costly mistakes.
Right.
And that is what we're trying to prevent. Do the mistakes now where there's room for error and it doesn't cost as much, compared to at that point where it start costing a lot more and it start impacting a lot more people because you have teams and so forth.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was sort of thinking. Like, first of all, you've got like you and all the different functions that make up the business and how you handle each of them, because it's just you. But then as time goes on, you're like, hey, I've expanded to this level where I can bring somebody in. And then all of a sudden, there's one of those same energy points that you just talked about, where you've got somebody that you're bringing in to take over some of those functions. You want to make sure you knew you know how you do them, and you've thought through how to keep them on track and what's effective at making them be function effectively, so that when you bring somebody in, you can train them. and then there's another person, like, I mean, I'm sort of extrapolating what you said, and that was the feeling I got from what your explanation. I hope I'm not. I hope I'm. So did I get it?
Yes, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head in that one.
Awesome. Another piece that I was thinking about as you were talking about this, the business functions and the income, like, you certainly want to get your business at a point where not only is it generating enough income to cover you and your lifestyle and all that stuff, but hopefully you're generating some excess, and some of that you're going to take and put back into the business. But you also maybe want to be thinking about taking some of that and putting it in a little kitty on the side that represents your wealth, and being smart about what you do with that. So the idea is that you've got this set of money resources, and how you're applying them. You want to be thinking about how you can apply them in different ways across your life and your business and your future wealth, so that in the end, you're going, wow, I'm glad I made those choices.
Yes, very much so. And I guess surprising or unsurprisingly enough, not a lot of business owners think that far ahead, or think that their business can actually allow them to do this, think of using their business to fund their retirement. They don't really think like that. But if they were in a job, they will. Because a lot of people stay in jobs because they have, a great pension package and so on and so forth.
Right.
So how come you switched over and then that side just switched off?
Well, part of it is, I think you have a structure in a company, a structure that reminds you, oh yeah, I need to be doing that. But if you're on your own, it's up to you.
Yeah, I know, definitely.
So we were talking about mistakes, and I hope I didn't derail you. I mean, are we good with that, or is there anything else you wanted to say there?
Well, another mistake, probably I've just mentioned it. So first of all, is again getting to that point where it's always in the future. Always in the future, they're going to deal with their money management. And in regards to probably what we just spoke about, that I'll never retire, I'll always work. I love my job so much. Oh, actually, I love what I do so much. I'm passionate about it. I don't see myself retiring, and not taking into consideration the fact that, you might have to, step down because you might have to care for loved ones. You might change your mind and decide that, you know what, you want to become
an illness, an
a
accident.
sailor.
Maybe you just say, you know what, I don't want to be working that hard anymore.
Yes, so it's creating those options for you. So for me, it's all about, if you're in the investment stock market space, you know that you can buy options. And when you buy an option, you have the right, but not the obligation to buy. And that is same thing. You want to have all these options where you can do it, but you're not obliged to do it.
You have the right, you have the capacity, but not the obligation to take that trip to Bermuda, or buy that vacation home, or contribute to that charity, or whatever, whatever it is, whatever your kind of dream might be, you'd like to have choice at that future time because of the choices you made now.
Absolutely. And it's not as complex.
Looks like I'm all over this, so that's why I keep interjecting.
Yeah. And it's not as complex as it comes across. I know we in the finance space, we like to, sound smarter and make things more complex than they should be. And, it's our jam. But what it is much simpler than what you think. I guarantee you that. And it's not a matter of you becoming, your own financial advisor. It's not a matter of you, becoming your own accountant. It's about you leveraging what those individuals are giving to you to make those strategic financial decisions about your life, about your business, about where you want to go.
Which, like,
And that is
if
what I'm
like
trying to do.
in a major corporation, there's the
Mhm.
CEO, but then there's the CFO, and like the CFO doesn't do like the financial reporting or make the decisions on what to do with money that they've accrued and things like that. People work for them to do that, but they're the
Mhm.
strategist,
Yes.
like thinking about the big picture of it. And so if you have like you could say, okay, great, I've got a financial advisor that can help me with this thing. I've got an accountant that can help me with this thing. I've got et cetera, et cetera. But I know where we're going. I'm the one
Yeah.
that's looking at the big picture. That's where
Yes,
my mind went with it.
you are your CFO until you bring one in, but you are your CFO. And unfortunately, that is something that happens a lot as well with small business owners that I've noticed, is that they either have a CPA, an accountant, or a bookkeeper, and then my finances are sorted. It's like, no, a bookkeeper is there to put in the transactional stuff of your business. The accountant is there to make sure that you're compliant and the IRS or whoever doesn't come knocking at your door. That is their main
Function.
work.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the word, function. But ultimately, then you are responsible for where your business is going. And what tends to happen is that then business owners tend to abdicate that responsibility. So they totally, you're the queen of the throne and you totally abdicate your position to an accountant, and the accountant is not even aware that they're the ones responsible for it because that's not within their normal remit of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit like when you bring in a social media manager, you don't totally not check your social media to make sure that they're doing what they ask them to do, or you're not
Right.
checking that they're still
Well, you're still
speaking
responsible for the message,
your tone.
right?
Exactly. Exactly
And
so.
and so they can execute getting things out there, but what to get out there is it's still you.
Yes. So they're very on top of that. And I want them to have that same oversight when they have their CPA account and so on and so forth. You're still ultimately responsible. You still have that oversight in regards to the direction your money takes, what you assign, the task you assign your money to do, you have a say in that.
Yes.
So again, that is one of it. Don't abdicate that role. You are the CFO of your organization.
And to do that, you have to understand what like the demarcation of responsibilities. So, and that's perfect because that's where you come in, right?
Yes, that's where I come in for sure. I help you kind of see that a lot more, be able to take the information from your team and then make strategic decisions with it.
Mm-hmm.
And not get overwhelmed. So like literally, I'm not asking you to have a deep dive into your P&L and all that stuff. No, just focus on the numbers you need to focus on, take the information and have a data-driven decision-making process. A lot of the time is gut feeling. And I'm not saying your guts are wrong, but imagine how much more powerful it would be if your gut and your data come together.
Yes,
Or
I call it gut informed by data. Like it's
yes.
like there's this kind of reality platform that the data is it's just there. I mean, certain things are just there. And then your gut says, oh, well, then if I do this, or like there's intuition that comes in. But
Yeah,
you don't want to just operate purely on id or intuition. Just like you don't want to just operate purely on numbers, right? It's like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Out of all
blend.
of this, it's more about awareness. So it's not about, oh, I'm going to 100% follow my instinct. I'm going to 100% follow the data. It's more about having the information in front of you so that if your instincts say X and your data says Y, but you decide to follow your instinct, you are aware of what the data is saying and what the permutations of that can be.
Yep.
So that your decision making is more proactive and you're able to make it faster, because money loves speed, money loves quick decisions.
Yes.
And
yes.
if you don't have that information, then you'll be kerfuffling around and then you miss the opportunity, you miss the moment, you miss your chance.
Yes. Yes. We are so in alignment So, well, I'll tell you, I could say, how, so I can go one of two ways here. I can see either ask you how you got started, or I can ask you to tell me about like someone you coached, the real transformation you created, or I could ask you both. What do you think?
Probably with how I started.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go with that. And then we'll cover the next, then we'll cover the other one. So how, no, tell me how you got started.
Gosh. Um, I had a convoluted journey, but to kind of start me off, I am from a diplomatic background. So again, traveling a lot, being in, that diplomatic bubble was really a thing for me. And after finishing boarding school in Italy, I got sent back to the UK to kind of, carry on education. And that is where I found out about my money issues and how appalling my money situation was, because I never had to deal with money. Okay. I came from a space where everything was done for me, and either you had it or you didn't have it. And you didn't really think any further than that, to a space now where I had to do it myself. I mean, it was so bad that I didn't even know how to renew my own passport. I had to call my dad to ask him what happens. So that is kind of where it unfolded, to a point where my first car got towed away by bailiffs because I wasn't keeping up with payments and so forth. So it's me then going through that journey of educating myself in regards to what my money habits are, what my money archetype is. And then further on, when I did start my business, how that then shows up in my business, and how I could use that to actually build and scale my business. Because a lot of times, especially in the business space, we're always looking to change ourselves. We're always looking to, work on our weaknesses. And a study was actually shown that organizations that actually focus on their employees' strength will increase revenue, I think, by 43%. The paper is out there. I don't quite remember. I think it was Gallup, the Gallup study. Don't quote me on it, but it starts with a G.
Yes, got it.
And it shows that revenue went by 43% because they focus on their strengths. So, which is what a lot of what I do with my clients as well. What is your money story? How do you naturally feel, act, emotions attached with money? How do we leverage that to build your business? And then how do we mitigate the risks? So it's all about mitigation. I really don't waste time on my weaknesses. It's all about mitigating it and then handing it over to somebody that is stronger in that spot.
Right.
And that is how you build your business in a sustainable manner.
Yes.
So that is how I went about it. And I went into banking after that. Can you imagine? After all of that, totally trashing
Counterintuitive.
my credit score. Totally trashed my credit score and everything. I ended up in the banking space, and I grew in the banking space. I started like as a business analyst, then went into business architecture, then went into product management. And it's within this space and working with high net worth and ultra high net worth clients of these banks, especially the investment banking space, that I started noticing the disparity between, a lot of these individuals that had family offices, which is literally an office dedicated to running your family's finances and business. So they had family offices, to then the average Joe that just has, their moms and pops business. There is a serious difference between these two. So it's me bringing some of this strategy that had nothing to do with net worth, that had nothing to do with revenue, to, the average business owner, so they could start implementing a lot of these strategies. So when they do get to the space of getting CFOs, when they do get to the space of, bringing financial advisor, or even when they're having their own family office, they know what they're doing. They're going there to have an educated conversation, because the crash in 2008 kind of showed as well that a lot of people were caught up in the marketing, were caught up in the trend, and were buying things they didn't understand. And what I want my business owners to do is have that educated conversation with the accountant, with their investment advisor, with whoever in their team, in regards to they have an understanding of what they want. Don't become an expert, but have a conversation with these individuals so that they have that understanding as well. So that is where I come from in regards to 20 years in finances, 10 as a consultant, and now I'm still wearing this corporate small business hat, where I'm able to actually bring these strategies to business owners that thought it was out of their reach because they're not doing X in revenue, X in turnover.
Yeah. So again, part of thinking ahead but acting now,
Yeah.
like not waiting until some when, but let's teach you let's teach you what you need to know in order to be able to give like, first of all, to make smart strategic choices, and second, how to give direction to the people that are on your team, if it's accountants and bookkeepers and what financial advice. Like, you're going to have some of those folks anyway, even before you actually acquire direct team members. So let's teach you what you need to know, like give you that mindset so that you can, so that you're thinking like the big guys think, so to speak.
Yes, it's an evolution. It's not a big bang. So it's not like you're making a 5 million turnover and everything is transformed. No, it's an evolution, and there's a lot that you can do now. And obviously, as your revenue grows, your income grows, your turnover grows, and so on and so forth, there will be more you can do. But it's the ease of it.
Yes.
That is basically all it is. We just have to appreciate it's an evolution. It's not big bang.
Yeah. Well, so maybe this is the perfect moment to say, well, tell me about, do you have a particular person in mind that that you worked with, and the transformation that they achieved?
Oh, absolutely. So I worked with Laura, and she had a cafe. So she and her husband were running a cafe, which is, they had, the breakfast stuff, the dinner, and so on and so forth, in regards to in and out. A mom's and pop Starbucks. That's basically what I'll call it, just in case you do not know what a cafe is. And when she came to me, what the issue was is that in an institution like that, there's a lot of hours. You have the prep hours, you have the working hours, then you have the wind down hours. So she was putting a lot of hours into this business, but she was not seeing a lot of money out of it. So that's where her biggest frustration was, is that the hours were not equating to what she was hoping to get out of it, which is what a lot of business owners do as well. They leave their jobs to come recreate, a mining factory for themselves. And if you know any stories about the miners, they didn't have a good time, and they were working ridiculous amount of hours for very little pay. That's
so
what
basically,
business owners have to
they've
do
traded working for somebody to working for yourself, but still owning the same dollars in, time in, dollars out kind of game.
Yeah. And believe it or not, you're a worse boss to yourself than your actual boss was. You really are, if you look about it, because you don't even pay yourself half the time, and you work in this business for years and you don't pay yourself.
So what happened with her? Now I'm dying to know.
So basically, the first thing first, and she did have an accountant, if I just say. So you see, there's still issues even when you have an accountant. So the first things was, again, going through with actually sitting down and finding, first of all, where are your money leaks in your business? Where are those? And I will tell you, we found quite a few. And just by that exercise, and this is in our first session, we're able to already save her £1,000. Just by the first session, identifying your money leaks. There's a lot in our business, especially now that we're online as well. And if you guys are familiar with AppSumo, that you buy a lot of tech because you have these lifetime deals and offers, and you don't end up actually using them.
Yep.
So things like that. So we looked through that and then started putting in financial controls in place and KPIs, so that is key performance indicators, so that she's able to measure what she's doing and what she's not doing, and also able to actually have a better control of her inventory as well. So it's putting in place, again, those controls and a way for her to be able to measure it and how she can adjust it in regards to how much in advance she could, buy the eggs, buy the mayo, how many bags of tea she should buy based on how much footfall she has in her organization. So it's just putting those things in place that she was able to, within 6 months, not only break even, but actually increase her revenue to a point where she was actually able to bring in an additional member of staff.
Mm.
And that allowed her to be able to then focus on another element of her business because she had a lot, the calf was on a large property. So she was able to then do a petting zoo, which then was another revenue stream because then, you know, parents and schools can come to pet the animals. And this is a city, right? So when I say petting zoo, we're not talking about, you know, zebras and so forth. We're talking about goats and sheep
Yes.
and chicken
Yes.
because
A
we're in the
modest,
city.
like it, but fun for kids love it.
Yes, exactly. And she was able to tap into that market, and that gave her the focus. So when you do not have money worries on your mind, you're able to be more creative.
Yes.
So that's why I
sort of
enjoy
part of
so
the
much.
how having, I mean, that's an extension of, you know, we talked about just being mindful of the money and things like that, and then being able to bring in your intuition or whatever. But this is like the next step. This is like, okay, fine, I have enough mental cycles. It's like, oh, I have this other property space available, and as I'm talking with folks, it's, oh, I could do this, and wow, all of a sudden my business
Exactly.
is moved in a direction I didn't even expect, because I was able to offload all those hours and that kind of confusion that goes with it by getting smart.
Absolutely. And it actually decreased her hours. So, which was a win-win. She increased her revenue, decreased her hours, and brought in a member of staff. Perfect.
Yep. That's so awesome. I'm inspired.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Uh,
For a petting
and
zoo?
and who would have expected that would be you know, an extension of a cafe. So I love it. I love it. Well, let me ask you this. So we've kind of talked about the general sort of things that you do and how you help people, and we talked about a specific example. But you know, so people are starting to get inspired. But what are some of the kind of roadblocks that people could encounter along the way?
Okay, so when it comes to roadblocks, there are many. But first of all, it's always the individual, it's always the business owner. They tend to be a roadblock in their journey. And that is why I kind of mentioned, in fact, my journey in regards to transforming myself and also in understanding myself, not changing, understanding myself and being aware of what my triggers are. So you need to understand who you are, especially your relationship with money, because that will cascade into your business. That would cascade into your pricing strategy. That would cascade into your negotiation with creditors.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to understand your emotions attached to money. And when you understand those and what triggers and not trigger you, then you know how to then have these conversations, understanding who you are. So that is to come back to, sometimes you are the one in your own way. And by not understanding who you are, you
Yeah.
will never be aware of how to get out of your own way, pretty much.
I
So
totally
that is
understand.
one of the main blockers.
Yes.
Then the second one, which I would say is something as well that I come across a lot, is that money management and managing the money that it's already coming in your business. So it's not extra work. You've done all the work, you know. It's not seen as a priority.
Mm.
So the example I say is that I have a lot of, or there's a lot of six-figure business owners that are having six-figure launches and, you know, six-figure revenue with seven-figure expenses.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not even aware of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the fear when they come to me is that they'll end up start self-funding. They'll end up having to take a 9-to-5 job because they basically recreated a liability for themselves.
Mm.
And the important thing about your business is there to build your wealth, not deplete it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times it's depleting your wealth. And I'm not saying just financially, but also time.
Yeah.
Time is, I'm putting money on the time. So you might
There's
say,
like
oh,
the
but
two big
financially,
resources, money but really time is the number one. And then money
exactly.
is number two, because time is the one that you've just got. It's available to you. You don't have to do anything to get time,
Yes.
but what you do with it is critical. And then from there, You
Yeah.
can generate some money, and then, all right, that's another resource. How do you handle that? I got it. I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, because time is not tangible, it usually gets forgotten. So that's why we go with money, because it's physical. But time also is a depletion of wealth, because wealth is not financial. I think of wealth as harmonic. It's all the different elements in your life. It's your business, it's your money, it's your relationship, it's your family, it's your spirituality,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. And if you bring, like, Job's into the picture, where there's this quote going around where he says he'll give all his money to have an extra minute with his family. That is wealth.
Yes.
And because it wasn't balanced, there is always almost that regret.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wealth is more, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than money.
Yep.
Money is just an element of your wealth. So those are the two biggest things that I see: the person and the management, as we said, of their time and their money.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. So, you know, what do you wish you'd known when you started out? Like, what's the most important lesson that you've learned?
The most important lesson, you guys know I talk about money, right? So the most important lesson for me was me knowing me. What I found out is that I'm a compulsive spender, and that is fine. And it kind of got to the mark where I started hiding, and I love shoes. I mean, I love shoes. It got to a point, and I think it hit home for me when I was hiding. So I have like some emotional situation going on, whether happy or sad or so forth. And everybody's like, retail therapy. I'm totally up for retail therapy. But sometimes my retail therapy goes overboard.
Yes.
So I would hide things in my car and then sneak them back into the house one by one, so my husband would not notice that I've gone again on another shopping spree.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, it was not necessarily, changing who I am and becoming a mega saver. It's how do I tap into my compulsive spending so that it is, again, building my wealth and not depleting it. I'm not a centipede. I do not need 100 pairs of shoes, but buying shoes make me happy. And literally buying makes me happy. You could take me to, Lowe's, and I'll be absolutely ecstatic to go buy a plant or a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so it's then funneling that now where maybe it's not the, Louis Vuitton handbag, but it's the Louis Vuitton tick that I'm buying, and I still get the same rush, okay? Because I am still spending, it's
Yes.
then looking at it and knowing, oh, I have put this amount of money this month, $500, $1,000 into my pension account, and I still get that rush. But not only getting the rush, I don't get the guilt after.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sneaking things.
So the lessons, in essence, what, like, if you had to kind of generalize and boil it down to the lesson, what would that be?
Understanding your money story, understanding your money archetype, and that there's energy to it. If I give you something with guilt, or if I give you something with remorse, it's not going to bear any fruits. So if I buy anything and then I'm regretting it and so on and so forth, that is an emotion I'm attaching. And I always tell my clients that there's two sides to everything. We have the physical side of money, which is our day-to-day money management things that I do, but also we have the spiritual side of money. And they go hand in hand, they go in tandem. There's sometimes too much focus on the spiritual. We cannot meditate our way out of debt.
Yeah.
So it's about managing the two in a way that there is balance, in the way that there is harmony in what you do. So what I learned was that there's two sides to that coin, the physical and the spiritual, and it's up to me to discover what my journey is so that it doesn't impact my ambition, it doesn't impact my vision going forwards.
Sort of literally stepping back and having the perspective to see what you're actually doing. How you're actually behaving, I guess you could say, in the face of all this stuff. Like, is it reactive? Is it like, is there like, how can you serve yourself better? how can you be a better friend to yourself, and have your future self want to come back and give you a hug because of your choices, as opposed to shaking its head, going, oh, man, if I'd only known.
Yeah. We
That's my
underestimate
image.
ourselves. We underestimate ourselves largely. And
Yeah.
that's because we do not know who we are.
Yeah.
So again, in all realms of life, whether, it's in the business space, in the spiritual space, or anything, you would see that everybody that knows what they're talking about, they always say, look within.
Yes. So
You always have to start from within.
So this is perfect. And I'm kind of mindful of the time, because we could talk for a lot more time and have plenty more to say. But maybe let's bring this to close for now. I mean, such awesome information. So I know that people are going to want to know how to reach you, and they're probably curious about this whole kind of money thing. You just talked about a money archetype and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, how can people reach you?
Oh, so you can reach me on LinkedIn, Anwin Bah. So that's ANWINMBAH. And I discovered I'm the only female Anwi on LinkedIn, so I'm easy to find.
So
So that is
LinkedIn,
me on
Anwin
LinkedIn.
Bah. Yes.
Yes. And on all the other platforms, it's pretty much the same. So just look for Anwin Bah and you'll find me, and then we can have a conversation. Take it from there.
Perfect. And you'd mentioned that archetype, and I know we talked a moment ago. So people would love to probably know more about that.
Oh, that is great. So I have a money archetype quiz, and it's kind of a layer more than that. So it's understanding your money archetype and then getting an action plan of how you can leverage that within your business to scale. So if you go to my website, www.wealthfluency, so that's wealth, WEALTH, fluency, FLUENCY, one word.com/quiz, QUIZ, and you're able to take a quiz, 60 seconds at most, and it'll give you your wealth booster report, where you can find the money, the hidden money in your business by leveraging your money archetype. It gives you an action plan. It tells you what your challenges are, but most importantly, it tells you what your gifts are based on the quiz.
Perfect. Perfect. So Anwin, it's been a real pleasure. And I thank you, and I'm sure that our listeners really appreciate all that you've had to share with us today. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Eric, and thanks everybody that has popped by to listen.
Perfect. So we will stop for here. Take care. Bye.